Everybody's talking about the cult of Nature Boy, but nobody's really talking about the fact that most women have dated men who are just like him, including me. Okay. So, when I say that I could have been a part of Nature Boy's cult, this is actually what I meant. I am Asha Cerise, the Dream Doula, supporting women with birthing the life, love, and business they desire. Come on in, click like, share, comment, and subscribe while you're here. And let's talk about how you've most likely dated a cult leader or know someone who's dated a cult leader. They just didn't call themselves that. They called themselves your man. A lot of manipulative men create a cult inside of the relationship. They don't need a whole bunch of followers because they got you. Okay? This looks like what we always talk about, love bombing. It's super intense in the beginning. It's all about you. They're saying like there's nobody like us. They're presenting this dynamic of a relationship that hasn't even really had the opportunity to blossom into that. But all of a sudden it's just hot and heavy. It's passionate. It's all the things that you've desired. This is your dream person, your dream life, and it's all happening so fast and so quickly. And not saying that you can't meet the right person who has the right intentions and hit it off quickly. But this manipulation comes under the guise of, I got you. I'm the best for you. I mean the best for you. I want the best for you. And you often end up being isolated from the ones who know you best, your loved ones, your family, or who feel like they know you the best. The people who have always been in your life, friends, family, loved ones. Isolation under the guise of protection. Like they don't mean you well. They're no good. You don't need to hang out with them. They don't know you like I know you. This person also becomes controlling early on, but it seems like it might just be something cute. Like, oh, I like when you wear this. I like how you look when you dress like that. I like when you carry yourself in this way. And they start telling you what to look like, what to wear, how to think, how to speak. And depending on what stage of your life you're in, you might find this to be attractive, but really it's the early stages of being controlling. That love bombing quickly evolves into this hot and coldness where at first they're telling you you're their soulmate, you all belong together, you're getting the attention, the affection, the intention that you desire. And then you'll start noticing little things like comments being said as a joke, but they're hurtful, or criticism, or them trying to humble you. It gets you on this wave of hormones, this surge of battling between the oxytocin love hormone to that cortisol stress hormone, and you almost become addicted to the hot and cold and the ups and downs. This is a psychological tactic that men like Nature Boy will use in a relationship. So you don't have to be a part of a cult or see this streaming on your social media platforms like Nature Boy was doing. If anything, we should be grateful that we have these demonstrations of how this can really happen within a relationship. And I believe that that's why I was drawn so much to watching Nature Boy and Carbonation and how it evolved, because I know I had experienced this in my own life in my younger years. And it was like, wow, when you're able to see something from the outside looking in, know better, you do better, right? But you see it from outside perspective of you're not in it. When you're in it, there's brainwashing, there's manipulation that has occurred. There's this idea, this false idea that nobody else knows what they're talking about when they see it and you don't, because you're in it. You're not able to see it. So we have a blueprint of what to look out for. So people are criticizing those who were glued to the screen, but y'all need to go watch it, because this is exactly what type of man to avoid. And do you think that there were some people that came even after he was showing his true self, but in the early stages of this cult, these young women and men were not showing up at the cult to be a part of some narcissist camp. They were showing up to someone who was saying, I love myself, and promoting them to say, I love myself, and promoting self-love and promoting healthy living and holistic lifestyle and learning and living off the land. So you have to remember that when it comes to meeting people who end up being abusive or narcissistic or harmful or violent, they don't start out this way. This is something that evolves over time or unfolds over time. There may be signs and red flags, but if you're not careful, if you don't know what to look out for, if you don't have that level of discernment, if you're not trusting your own intuition, if you're not listening to anybody else that's seeing it from the outside, warning you and letting you know what they see, it's easy to get trapped up in it. And then once an attachment is formed, it's extremely hard to detach. Younger women are very vulnerable to this type of dynamic. We hear it all the time that men that are on these podcasts and speaking about how younger women are more valuable, they want to mold them. These young ladies are still discovering their identity. They're seeking validation. They want to be chosen. They're just coming out of childhood and adolescence where a lot of trauma is experienced. A lot of lessons are learned or maybe not learned, and they're looking for some type of male figure, male guidance, that masculine energy, whether they experience neglect, maybe their father was not around, abandonment, or maybe their father was around and was abusive or neglect them emotionally. A lot of young ladies are seeking that male figure, looking for someone to save them. I was one of those type of young women. That's why I ended up with the man that I was with, at 16. And you can go check out my Storytime series to learn more about that specifically. I'm writing a book about it right now, but I do share a lot of things in the Storytime series as well. When you see what was going on in Nature Boy's cult, it wasn't a whole bunch of grown ass women up in that cult. He was in his mid to late 30s. There was one young lady that was there that was around his age, but mentally you can tell that she was youthful, young-minded. She was one that left her child behind to be in Nature Boy's cult. And even though she was more towards his age, she was very meek and timid and easily influenced and very impressionable. But all the other women who were there were in their early 20s. Some even, I believe, came when they were in their late teens, but early 20s. And a lot of them had something in common: childhood trauma, some type of trauma in their adolescence, or like I said in the previous video, or maybe I don't think I did say because I cut it out, but a lot of members showed up to Carbonation because they had health issues, whether they were autoimmune diseases, illnesses, or STDs or STIs that were incurable. And he was kind of presenting himself to be a healer, similar to like Dr. Sabi going to Honduras for healing. Nature Boy was like, I have this B6 diet, and if you believe that you're healed and you don't identify as somebody that has this disease, you will heal yourself. So he had this whole program to make people feel like he could heal them. So being easily impressed or looking for some type of savior or some type of masculine energy to come save you, it's a recipe to be manipulated. And young ladies don't have to join a cult to end up in those type of situations. There's Nature Boys walking around here every day looking for a young girl, looking for a girl that's hurt, looking for somebody that's broken, looking for somebody who's damaged, looking for somebody who is traumatized. And they come in, swoop in, like they have the answers, they have the key, they are the safe space. And that woman feels like they can be safe. That young lady feels like they can be safe with them, only for them to turn on them and cause more trauma in their lives. Grooming is when people manipulate someone or coerce someone or influence someone to do whatever it is that they want them to do. And that's usually a young, impressionable mind. And that was what was going on with a lot of people who were there physically at Nature Boy's camp, or people who were a part of his cult without even physically being there. And yes, I was a viewer, but my mind was never like, I'm actually going to go to Nature Boy's cult. The way I was drawn into even watching, if I was on that type time, I could see why the members did show up, because it did look like an oasis of, we breaking out of the matrix, we getting out of Babylon, we ain't working for corporate, we are here in a community, we're vegan, we're we in the tropics. Like, hell yeah, that sounds amazing. But then when you really start to look at what's really going on, then you see, okay, this ain't that. And just like Nature Boy, narcissistic or abusive men often create their own reality. He is not the only one that wants to feel like his way is the way. Just like he sounded like a little ass boy when me and him went live, and he's like, you're wrong, I'm right. I'm right and you're wrong. Point blank, period. Wrong, I'm right. I'm right and you're wrong. Period. Point blank, period. Like, that is the mindset. You're wrong, I'm right. Nanny, nanny, boo, boo. Because narcissistic men in relationships, they are going to position themselves as the authority, as the correct voice, as the right way. They always have all the answers. If you disagree with them, you're going to be punished in some type of way. They're going to make you feel like you're crazy, gaslight you to make you feel like your way of thinking is completely erratic and illogical, and their way is the right way. And this happens in relationships all the time. They're demanding loyalty over logic. They're not going to ever make you feel safe to even have an opinion. And you're often going to be in this position where they feel like everybody else is the enemy, and they're going to make you feel bad, like, oh yeah, everybody always thinks I'm the bad guy, but it's really everybody else. And in their world and the reality that they've created, it is everyone else against them. Everybody else is the enemy. And if you disagree or if you go against the program, then you're the enemy too. You're not going to want them to feel like you're their enemy, even though they know damn well you're not their enemy. They know that you are blindly loyal to them. They know that you go along with what they say, that you rarely try to disagree, that you try to avoid conflict. But any type of disagreement or any type of pushback, they're going to make you feel like you are just like everybody else, pointing the finger at them, treating them like the bad guy, and you're one of their enemies too. So you're now being gaslit, and you're now being put in a position to be a part of their program or risk being harmed, being abandoned, which is most of the time something that the anxious person in the relationship that has experienced trauma or feels like this person is their safe space is avoiding. And you're going to be further manipulated. And the same way a young lady can find herself in an abusive relationship with a violent man or narcissistic man or manipulative man is the same way a woman can find herself attached to a pimp. Just like Nature Boy ended up exposing himself for his true colors and self-proclaiming himself as a pimp, because these men are trained in manipulation tactics. They thrive off of it. They see women as like an extension of their ego, a property. These women can become sex workers, whether that's dancing in a club, whether that's being an actual sex worker that sells their body in exchange for money, or just someone who gives their money to this person and their resources to this person that did not do anything to earn it. And every manipulative man is not looking for a partner. Some of them are just looking for the influence, which is what Nature Boy was on, and which a lot of men who are a part of pimp culture are similar to him. And so not only do young ladies have to be very careful with not allowing themselves to be victim to an abusive relationship as far as a partner, a boyfriend, a husband, you can mess around and find yourself with someone who considers themselves a pimp. Now you somebody's property, and you're not even getting the reciprocation of the love and the attention and the affection and the intimacy that you might receive in a relationship. You're just being dominated. You're just being used and misused and abused. And young women are very susceptible to that. It's not like the olden days where it's a pimp with a cane and a suit, although some of them still exist too. I've seen young dudes that are in, look like YNs that are getting pimp charges because they have the gift of the gab. Even most recent, you can see Blueface.
I happen to love the drama between Blueface and Krishan Rock. I love it. I think that that's a pimp, and I think that she got caught up with a pimp.
Krishan has called him out for being a pimp because, yeah, he's talking crazy to her. He's making her feel like, okay, you're my woman. We're in a relationship. But as soon as she stops doing what he wants her to do, dressing how he wants her to dress, acting in the behavior that he feels like makes the most money, then she got cut off or she got cussed out or whatever happened to her. And she was right. She called him out because, yes, he was on some pimp type stuff. So you see young guys that are doing that. There's all type of ways that pimping and pandering is happening in modern times that don't necessarily look like a pimp with a suit and a Cadillac and a woman on the street corner. It's happening with just OnlyFans or different type of platforms where you're selling sex, where you're selling adult content. Or like I said, it could just be a situation like Jody and Yvette. He takes your car He drives it all day while you're hard at work when he goes and does what he wants to do. And then at the end of the week, when you get your check, you're passing it over to him. A lot of dynamics are like that when people are not talking about it out loud, but they've experienced it. Just like women was going down there to the tropics, handing over their inheritance, handing over their military money, handing over their source of income to give to Nature Boy. And just like a pimp, he takes the money, he collects the money, and he decides how he's going to take care of everybody else. But he's going to be the one taking care of the best, and everybody else gets this. So that's something that you definitely have to be aware of and talk to your young daughters, sons, people in your life, cousins, young people about how many different types of manipulative people are out here and what to look for. This is not a rare occurrence. This is happening to many people. A lot of people don't share their stories, but a lot of people have experienced a manipulative man, whether it's from a partnership or from a dynamic where this person was more superior to them and abused them in a way. And just like with Nature Boy's cult carbonation, people from the outside looking in will say, oh, why didn't they just leave? Why didn't they get out of there? Why are they allowing somebody to treat them that way? The same way people will judge and not understand why a woman would stay in an abusive relationship or with a pimp or with a manipulator. There's several reasons. For one, that person may feel some type of love or loyalty to the person who is abusing them. Call it Stockholm syndrome, call it blind loyalty, call it toxic loyalty, but it exists. People develop an attachment to this person, and usually it's not all bad. Usually this person has created some sense of safety and love and affection and attention and understanding. People create trauma bonds with these people. There is a sense of fear, shame, guilt. Maybe they don't have somewhere to go back to. Maybe they feel like they don't. A lot of the people in Nature Boy's cult isolated themselves from their family and loved ones. And some of them argued with them and cussed them out and hurt them for even caring about them. So some people feel like they don't have a place to go back to because they burned their bridge, or they're financially not able to get out there on their own. They don't have the resources to. So there are multiple reasons why people stay. And people who have never been in an abusive relationship or in a situation where they are being harmed or they're being manipulated, they don't often understand why somebody would stay. But there are so many reasons. And oftentimes with people who have gotten themselves in these type of relationships, they've already experienced some type of trauma. And it's also low key something you're familiar with. So it's not always easily detected that it's danger. Just like that analogy with the frog in the pot of water. When the frog is in the pot of water and the fire gets turned on, as the water gradually gets hotter, they don't know that they're in this water that's dangerous for them. They're just in the environment and they've adapted to it. But if you put a boiling pot of hot water and the frog jumps in, they're going to jump right back out. So it's just the same thing. If you're used to trauma and you've been conditioned for this type of treatment, this type of environment, you're pretty much just in it unknowingly, harming yourself. And although there is not 100% sure-proof way to make sure your loved ones do not end up in a cult or end up in an abusive relationship or end up with a pimp or anybody that's harming them or manipulating them, what you can do is just try to create environments where people feel safe, where people don't feel judged, where you can hold space for them, listen to them. Don't create trauma, okay? Like, as good as we can do with children and youth without creating things that they have to heal from, please do that. Listen to your children, listen to your young people, allow them to express themselves, give them the love and attention and affection and nurturing that they need when they're young. And it doesn't stop when they get out of elementary school. Everybody needs love. Everybody needs hugs. Everybody needs a safe space. So as best as we can be as parents, aunties and uncles, big cousins, friends, mentors, teachers, educators, guidance counselors, coaches, whoever you are to your community and to the young people around you, like really just try to create that safe space and pay attention to what they're doing and be somebody that they can talk to. And also being open to having these type of conversations. A lot of people, mum's the word when it comes to the reality of things. Like, there are dangerous people out here. There are people that are wolves in sheep clothing. And when you try to make sure your child is so green and like you're making them naive, you're making them gullible, you're making them susceptible to being manipulated and tricked off the streets, tricked out of their position because you want them to be so green. I had this conversation with some coworkers a while back when it comes to the show Power. Like Ghost and Tasha was killers and drug dealers, but they wanted their children to feel like, oh, we're in this high-rise penthouse. You go to a private school, you have money, you have unlimited access to anything that you want. And they shielded their children from reality of things. Not that you got to tell your children all your business, or not that they should have told them like, yeah, this is what we do on the side, but put them up on game. Like these kids they your little homies. You the OG. Put your little people on game when they're old enough to understand and comprehend. Put them on game. Let them know that these type of people exist and how to avoid them and how to be smart, street smart and book smart. Teach them how to recognize and peep game, because a lot of people are just trying to keep their children so innocent to the point where you're making them naive. A huge part of healing is learning how to hear yourself again after spending years with someone who tried to program your mind. You literally have to unlearn and relearn. You have to unlearn all the time that they broke you down, broke your spirits, talked bad about you, made you feel like you were not right, made you feel like you were crazy, isolated you from your people, isolated you from your own identity, or maybe got into your head before you truly were able to discover your identity. You have to rebuild trust with yourself. You have to grieve who you became, who you could have become. You have to learn to listen to your intuition again and reconnect with yourself, reconnect with the people who truly love you. And there is a process of healing, just like those people have to reprogram themselves after leaving the cult. It's similar to reprogramming yourself after years of being in an abusive relationship or being with someone who manipulated you. I will say that I have experienced having to unlearn and relearn a lot of things, having to create boundaries, having to trust myself, connect to my intuition, just love on myself and accept myself and embrace myself, and realize what lessons that I needed to take from that relationship. And you can too. I've created multiple tools for you to be able to start on your journey, whether you get a How to Be Single journal, or if you want some one-on-one coaching, I have that available as well. If you want to learn more about my personal story, I am writing a book right now, but in the meantime, I have a storytime series under playlist called Bride and Groomed, where you can dive more into my own personal story of how I met my ex-husband. I met him when I was 16 and he was 23. And of course, I'm going to go into deeper stories in the book, but for now I have that available. If you would like to start on your journey of healing, self-love, self-discovery, self-mastery, rebuilding your life after an abusive relationship, toxic relationship, divorce, breakup, whatever part of your life that you're in and you're ready to get it back together, whether that's getting your self-love in order, or if it's building your business, getting a platform built, getting into your creativity, learning how to utilize and monetize your gifts, or if you're ready to get back out here and start dating because you've already done the work, I can support you on your intentional dating journey as well. Check out the description under this for all the links about everything that I've mentioned. Again, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And just remember that you're not alone on this journey, that you have support available to you if you so choose to reach out for it. And again, I'm Asha Cerise, the Dream Doula. Thank you all for tuning in. Please comment your thoughts on this video and let me know, have you ever had someone in your life like a nature boy? And how are you doing now? All right, I'll talk to y'all later.